Here comes the sun, here comes the sun. I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma. Y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. No me pongan en lo oscuro a morir como un traidor. No me pongan en lo oscuro a morir como un traidor. Yo soy
Are so grateful that you've chosen to spend time with us on this rather warm Sunday. Your love for and admiration of and support of our father, Ramu, was important to him and has also enriched all of our lives. We have family and friends here from many different chapters of his long life, 90 years innings, and many have travelled very far to be with us today. Among the special guests here with us today are many beloved people from the local community, from Alibagh, Raigad, Jhirar, Bhaimala, and also with us are family members who have come from quite far away, including Pune, Bangalore, New York, London, Hyderabad, and Canada. Unexpected visit from my cousin Nanda. We are so grateful to the many people who've contributed who weren't able to be with us in person. You'll hear a little bit from some of them also today. A very warm thanks to the mothership, yani ki the Indian Navy, which has been a part of our lives really since our birth, and for my mother since her birth, since she was also born into a naval family. And we are especially grateful to Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan, who has generously supported our mother, Lalita ji, aka Loly, and agreed to be our chief guest and closing speaker today. So please be on time, because otherwise we'll be making an admiral late. So that's on you. The idea for a celebration to be hosted here in Lara, Ramu Farm in Bhaimala, which has been my parents' home for more than 30 years, came to my mother this past December when she was spending time here. And she wanted a fitting way to honor his life, marked by service to the Navy for almost 45 years, and then to this community and the world for the next 35. More broadly, we hope you will enjoy this program, which is defined by our mother's vision and has been shaped by contributions from her three grandchildren, Nirvana Treya, Mira Ahmed Priolo, and Mrinalini Nazaner, as well as benefiting from extended family members, including Poonam and KJ Sani, Saiba and Himanshu, and Teji and Zahabia. We are also really grateful to Mansi Mahatre, who is really part of our family here in Alibagh and supports my mother in ways that we can't even begin to imagine, and to her daughter Tia. My sister Sagari is going to MC the event and is going to do her best to keep us on schedule. Just to give you a sense of what you'll be expecting, the program is around 3 chapters of our father's life. We'll have speakers who will share some anecdotes. We are requesting kindly that speakers, I know this is India and we don't follow timing very well, but we are asking you to keep to 2 to 5 minutes maximum, please, so that the program stays on schedule. We will try to ensure we don't end any later than 2 o'clock so that you can all join us for lunch. We also wanted to wish those who are observing Ramzan, Ramzan Kareem or Ramzan Mubarak, because especially our dear Petty Officer Chief Steward Mohar Ali and his family are hoping to join us, who are with us in spite of the time of fasting. And Mazhar Ji is also with us. He's also not fasting today, so just wanted to make sure that you take care of yourselves and know we are grateful that you're with us. We also want everyone to be comfortable, so please move around, take water as you need, and bathrooms are available outside for all, and we have one inside for any senior citizens or anyone who needs a little bit more cool. And that's really it from me, and I'm so happy to have all of you with us. I'm going to turn it over to my mother, who will take it away from here as she usually does. I told Admiral's flag lieutenant that I've had experience now being Mummy's flag lieutenant, and I'm sure I have a tougher job than Arnav has. Over and out, Madam CNC.
I'm glad that your cars and your drivers managed that funny little hump. But I think our lives have been similar to that hump, and somehow there was a message over there. It hasn't ended yet. It's not smooth sailing all the way. But thank you all for being here. जैसे कविता ने कहा, हम आज की कार्यक्रम को 3 या 4 हिस्से में ऐसे देखेंगे कि रामू का जीवन कहाँ से शुरू और कैसे और कहाँ पहुंची, वापस हम कैसे आए यहाँ पे भाईमाला। बहुत से लोग पूछते हैं मगर आप मराठी हो क्या? ऐसे नहीं, तो भाषा क्या है आपकी? तेलुगु। और सर तमिल, वो इधर कैसे? उनकी पैदाइश हुई माटुंगा में. I'm just going to go back to that story. He came from a Tangram family, started off in Palghat. His family were a family of priests. And then his grandfather said, I don't want to become a priest. मैं postman बनूंगा. तो गांव के postman बने ना. गांव का इधर है अपना postman. आया नहीं ना अभी तक? Okay. Postman must be on his rounds. So वहाँ से गए मद्रास. मद्रास से आए बॉम्बे और उनकी पैदाइश हुई माटुंगा 5th September 1933. And I think there were some pictures that you've seen along the way. He was the third of 3 siblings. बड़ा भाई का बेटा पूना से आया है, Rajmurthy. You want to just stand up and say hi? Hi, Raj. और एक बहन थी और रामू सबसे छोटा लाडला बेटा था. And interestingly, he grew up in a very typical Tamilian location in Matungam, as they called it. And at the age of 4 or 5, That's what he told me. He was sent to an RSS Shaka. Like many, many young boys, well, even till today, I guess. और he said, एक महीने के बाद मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगा, तो मैं छोड़ के निकल गया वहां से. Then his father moved to Delhi, and that was the next culture shock. Punjabi Bhasha. The Punjabis and the Delhi walas made lot of fun of these Tamilians, and they said, "आपका भाषा ये क्या है? अगर ये in a little gabla हम पत्थर डालेंगे, गुड़ 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 का ऐसा ही आपका भाषा लगता है हमको." So he was 7 or 8 when they went to Delhi, and this was just in the build-up to partition. And this is one story that I want to spend a little time sharing, because in many fundamental ways, that is what shaped a lot of what Ramu stood for and what he believed in. 1947 or 48, we don't have the exact date. They were living in Bengali market. Those of you who know Delhi will know where Bengali market is. Lot of government colonies. And his father worked in the customs department of the then government of India. He had a very close friend called Ghulam Muhammad, who was his colleague in the government department. And we know what was happening in 47 and 48. So Ghulam Muhammad said to him, "I'm very nervous. मुझे पता नहीं है मैं जिंदा रहूंगा या नहीं, मुझे मेरे साथ क्या होने वाला है." So Ramu's father said, "You will come and stay with us in our house in Bengali market." तो Ghulam Muhammad, उनकी बीबी, उनके 2 बच्चे, इनके साथ बंगाली मार्केट के उनके छोटा सा गवर्नमेंट अकोमोडेशन था, वहां पे वो रहने आए. And Ramu used to cycle 10 kilometers to school to somewhere near Delhi Gate. तो एक दिन वो वापस आए थे साइकिल पर, and he used to park his bicycle at the back of their compound, and he saw a huge crowd outside their front gate, shouting slogans and saying, "लीडर था कोई, हमें पता है कि आपके घर में एक मुसलमान, आपने इधर उनको आपके घर में ठहराया है, बाहर भेजिए." So Ramu's father and mother, I think you've seen the photograph there. She is a very typical tam-ram looking lady in her 9-yard sari and a big botu. And Ramu's father said, "If you want them, you have to come and take us first." समझ लिया ना आपने? अगर उनको चाहिए, उनको लेके जाने चाहिए आप, पहले हम दोनों को लेना पड़ेगा. तो रामू उधर सुन रहा था, वो बोला, शायद मैं अपने माँ बाप को जिंदा नहीं देखूंगा इसके बाद. But there's a certain logic and a certain whatever it is that plays out, and mobs, when they are faced with a certain clear resistance from people, and they saw who they were likely to have to kill in order to get to Ghulam Muhammad Saab, the crowd melted away and disappeared. Ramu says he never forgot that lesson, and he asked his father, "How did you have the guts to say what you did?" And his father told him, "आपके दिल में और आपके दिमाग में जो आवाज आप सुन रहे हैं, your conscience, you have to be clear and you have to follow that, and never be afraid to follow your conscience and do what you think is right." And he's always said that is the lesson that has lived with him throughout his life and influenced everything he did in the Navy, outside the Navy, and after we came here. So that's a story I thought I would begin with. And just one little extra note. वो लोग रहते थे दरियागंज और जो जो दिल्ली के जो वीआईपी लोग हैं वो बिल्कुल एक दूसरी जगह में रहते हैं लुचियंस के लिए। महीने में एक बार उनके पिताजी उसको टांगा में लेके जाते थे टू वॉक अराउंड लुचियंस दिल्ली। King George's Avenue, Roberts Road, I mean all the familiar names. So apparently Ramu said to his father, ये कौन से लोग हैं जो इतने बड़े बड़े बंगले में रहते हैं? So he said, ये तो बहुत बड़े अफसर हैं, ब्रिटिश लोग हैं। तो इसे क्या एक दिन हम भी वैसे बंगले में रहेंगे क्या? Will we ever live in a house like that? बोलते नहीं, हमारे जैसे लोग के लिए नहीं है ये। Anyway, आप लोग सब जानते हैं, जब मेरे पिताजी चीफ बने, रामू उनके फ्लैग लेफ्टिनेंट बन के आए, और उसके बाद हम 2-3 बार दिल्ली के लुटियंस के बंगले में रह चुके हैं. So just a little vignette into what shaped this guy and his thinking and his thoughts. So Sagari.
Who lived in Bengali market. There's a letter, he's about in his, I think, mid-90s now.
Yeah.
And he wrote a letter. He's Gulu Thadani. He couldn't make it to this event, but I'm going to read out a little bit of his letter. So he says, it is with deepest respect that I am writing this on one of our Navy's finest naval chiefs, late Admiral Ramdas. The late Admiral Ramdas and I lived from 1942 onwards in New Delhi in Connaught Circus, and we went to the same school, near modern school, in Bengali market. We were about 7 to 8 years old. We studied together in the second standard in a private school called the New Cambridge High School, and opposite the present Shankar Market area. Professor Swami was our school principal, and the school catered up to 6th standard in the senior Cambridge, and 4th standard was considered as junior Cambridge. Admiral Ramdas, or Ramu as he was known in school, was thin and lanky. He was a young, thin and lanky young man, and a little tall for his age. But he cultivated a great friendship with me, and we related to one another through playing cricket in the open ground area in a Maidan next to the modern high school and near the Bengali market, where we played regularly after school hours. And Ramu was considered a very fine fast bowler. I recall he said that he lived with his elder brother, who was serving lieutenant colonel in the army, and his sister around Bengali market area. After 2 years of classmateship, and after completing my 4th standard in the junior Cambridge High School, I left the school and joined St. Columbus High School and graduated in senior Cambridge. I lost touch with Ramu after that, and that was the first part of his amazing relationship, probably the oldest friend my father ever had. So thank you all for listening so patiently to this letter.
आते हैं ये जमीन आसमां शहीद हो, पुकारते हैं ये जमीन आसमां शहीद हो, वतन की राह में वतन के नौजवान शहीद हो, वतन की राह में वतन के नौजवान शहीद हो. शहीद तेरी मौत की तेरे वतन की जिंदगी, तेरे लहू से जाग उठे जिस चमन की जिंदगी.
Ramu has been a very, very good, affectionate and caring friend of mine, but much more so only when he was on the personal staff of the Chief of the Naval Staff. I've always admired Ramu immensely for his wide knowledge, intellect, writings and expression while speaking. Vani joins me in wishing him a comfortable life for many, many more years.
So from Matunga, is this on? Yeah. From Matunga to Delhi, where he finished his Cambridge, my father went on to join the JSW. And he may have rose in these heights, but a story our father loved narrating to us was at the time of his admission into the Joint Services wing, I guess, it was subject to his reaching the required height within his first year. And that height, I think, was about 5'1". So some of his closest friendships were made in these formative years of his life at the JSW. And I now invite Mama Lalita, as she is lovingly called by Carl, her youngest son-in-law, sister Malika's husband. Malika couldn't join us and be with us today, but I invite Mama to share some more of your Navy anecdotes. बहुत से कहानियाँ तो हैं और आप लोगों ने पता नहीं देखा एक फोटो यहाँ पे वो कोई टूटा फूटा एक बिल्डिंग जैसा था और रामू उसके सामने एक गीदड़ या पता नहीं वो से गधा या पता नहीं क्या वो पकड़ के खड़ा हुआ है। वो जो बिल्डिंग था इट वाज अ ओल्ड अबैंडन्ड prisoner of war barracks which had been recently vacated by the Italian prisoners of war, and it was the precursor to what became the National Defence Academy. But I think they only actually shifted there, am I right, VP, about 54, 55?
December 54.
December 54.
Moved
there you
away
go.
from there.
Yeah, yeah. And मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ जितने भी मामूली हमारे शुरुआत होते हैं बिल्डिंग टूटा फूटा वहाँ पे टॉयलेट्स जैसे आज के हैं वो नहीं होते थे. It was dry sanitation and Ramu had some great stories to tell. Each of them had a particular number. So Ramu's number was 13. He's always said it's been his lucky number. फिर चिल्लाते थे हाँ भाई 13 नंबर को खाली करो या 20 नंबर को खाली करो ऐसे. This was their early beginnings. What was interesting, that's the only little point I wanted to add. There were 3 young cadets at that time. Sunil Francis Rodrigues from the Army, Ramu Ramdas, Lakshminarayan Ramdas, Navy ke, and Nirmal Suri from the Air Force. 15 साल के थे शायद when they joined. They passed out in 1950, Army, Navy and Air Force. By some extraordinary set of circumstances, they went their own ways. They didn't really interact very much. All 3 of them rose to head their individual services between 90 and 91, up to 93. समझ में आया ना आपको? वो छोटे थे, एक साथ उन्होंने पढ़ा, उसके बाद पूरी जिंदगी आर्मी में, नेवी में, एयरफोर्स में वो लोग ऊपर गए और 1990 में तीनों जन अपने अपने सर्विस के सबसे बड़ा पद को संभाले थे, अध्यक्ष बने अपने अपने आर्मी, नेवी और एयरफोर्स को. मगर बाद में आप देखेंगे वहां पे कोई फोटो लगाया गया है. ये तीनों जन एक अंग्रेजी आदमी के साथ खड़े हुए हैं. That was the legendary educator who himself had been in the Navy at a point of time, Jack Gibson, who was the headmaster for their course, or 2 courses maybe, at the Joint Services Wing in Clementown in Dehradun. So जब ये लोग चीफ बने थे, this was in 1992, तीनों जन उनके गुरु के पास गए, बस आशीर्वाद लेने के लिए. All of us, the wives also went along with them. Jack Gibson had been at Doob School. He then went to Mayo College. And in fact, Aziz, who walked in, or maybe there's others here, I don't know, that is my principal, he said. Mayo College mein inko bhi padhaya tha. So you can imagine what it must have felt like for Jack to have all 3 of these youngsters now coming to give him, pay their regards when they became Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, and Chief of Air Staff. So that is really the sort of story. Somebody was supposed to speak about that era, but unfortunately, again, couldn't make it. I had also invited Commodore Nana Rao, who's another flag lieutenant, who also actually headed the Naval Academy at INS Mandovi. Looks like all our friends are falling prey to vertigo. पता नहीं अभी क्या हो रहा है. हम लोगों गांव में अभी तक तो आया नहीं है ये vertigo जो बोलती हैं. So that's really the story of what happened. Then he joined as a commissioned officer, and after that I'm actually going to request. Come back after the clip. All right, oh, there's a little clip. Sorry, you see, I haven't been following all the instructions very clearly. Had a few things to do. ये देख लीजिए और उसके बाद आगे कथा जारी रखेंगे. आजादी रक्षा करेंगे हम भारत की, भारत जवानी आएगी, जननी होएगी, भारत नौसेना की जय 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 भारती, रक्षा करेंगे हम देश की.
This was when my father had come to Hyderabad, and in the last 2 years when he wasn't keeping really well, the 3 of us sisters felt, it's about time that they can't really be staying here on their own. So they came to us in Hyderabad. But the life in the Navy, and for us, it was captured by a song that my parents loved. So I'm just going to do a little song for you. कभी बॉम्बे, कभी कोचिन, कभी दिल्ली, कभी बॉन, इस नेवी में एक जगह रहता है कौन, हर साल में एक ट्रांसफर है यहाँ, जरा हटके जरा हटके यह नेवी मेरी जान. We love that line.
Yeah.
It gave our father, of course, in his later years, immense joy to witness how so many of all of you who served with him over the years rose to senior ranks and positions in the Navy, which includes 3 naval chiefs. And we are delighted to have with us today some of his former colleagues. And so we'd like to first invite Admiral Rabindra, or Robin Dhowan as we know him, to share his memories. Share your memories. Admiral Dhowan was the 22nd Chief of the Naval Staff of the Indian Navy, with an illustrious professional career in the Navy. Yeah, Robin, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll just start straight away since I'm on time, or a very, very strict timeline. So I had finished my staff college, of those who know staff college at Wellington, become a young commander, and got posted at Directorate of Naval Operations. So as they would say, I was on top of the world with rainbows around my shoulders, and I thought, this is life. Suddenly the telephone on my desk rang, and it was Admiral Chotu Das, who was then the Director of Personnel. So those of us in the Navy know that when DOP calls a young commander, there can only be trouble or some storm in the making. He said, Robin, Admiral Ramdas is taking over as CNC East, and you're going as the NA, pack your bags and move. All I could say was, aye, sir. Phone went down. And that phone call changed the course of my life and shaped a new course for me in the Navy. So I landed up in Vizag and met up with Admiral Ramdas, a martinet in his pristine white uniform, and he had a steely gaze, would look straight into your eye and said, welcome to the team. So, and he was a no-nonsense admiral, very strict administrator, but then over the years that I served with him, I realized that he was also a very compassionate admiral who looked after the staff. He had a heart of gold and he touched the hearts of all those who anybody who came in contact with him. And he used to always talk about the C3I of leadership: commitment, compassion, credibility, and integrity. And I realized that he probably had imbibed all these qualities himself first, to the hilt. When it was commitment, his vision, when it came to his compassion, he was a totally compassionate leader. Credibility, he built over the years in uniform. And integrity, I mean, whenever I say integrity, I think the image that comes is Admiral Ramdas. He also had he was very observant and very sharp observation, attention for detail. And I remember right in the beginning, we were having some presentations in the command, and it was CO Sarkar's late Commodore VK Kapoor, who was making, and some slide said some date. And he said, this is the 50 years golden jubilee of the Eastern Naval Command. And from there started the Swarn Varsh. 1989-90 became the Swarn Varsh for Eastern Naval Command. He galvanized the whole command. It was a period of very high operational tempo. We had operational Pavan, that is the operations in Sri Lanka. I had the privilege to visit all the areas in Sri Lanka with him as the CNC. It was an IPKF, Indian Peacekeeping Force. Our ships were deployed, but he went to every location. He had a vision that, the islands will play a major role with us. Those days, Andaman Nicobar Command under Fortan was with CNC East. We traveled, amphibious operations. The dockyard came up in a big way. Matsya and Surya docks were commissioned, I remember. We had the Eastern Fleet, new assets joining in. We had many other activities which came as part of the Swarn Varsh of the command. He set up Swarn Jyoti, which was the Maritime Heritage Museum, and something which was another passion for him. And he gave the command a mantra because, he was one person who could attend to the micro and monitor the macro at the same time. So when it was to come to designing the logo of the Swarn Varsh, or it was planning something big infrastructure, it was Admiral who did himself. And he gave the mantra, the command of stretching each rupee to the maximum, and the mantra was much more with much less. You'll remember Commodore Postwala, you were there. And he galvanized the command together. Of course, Mrs. Ramdas played a major role in the Naval Wives Welfare Association. But I think the change she brought about was, it was not about welfare. It was about making the women more confident and empowering the women. And to make them more confident that they were part of a larger naval family, so that they could run happy homes, so that their spouses could be out at sea taking care of the job. So after a very successful innings at the command, Admiral was appointed as the Chief of the Naval Staff. And I had the honor to be picked up again. I must have done something right. And as the NA in the command, I moved as a staff officer to Delhi. Admiral arrived in Delhi and hit the ground running. He actually entered the office, which he must have been there so many times, even from his flag lieutenant days. But he knew exactly what to do at the helm of the Navy. And he actually planned the entire vision for the future Indian Navy. And he was there, and he went to the commands. He spoke to various people in the commands, to headquarters, told them to outline short-term tasks, long-term goals, went along with it. He outlined his vision for the future Indian Navy, and we talked so much about self-reliance and indigenization, and in their later years, that led to the transformation of our Navy from a buyer's Navy to a builder's Navy. He had issues to make sure that we had quality logistics, quality maintenance, and also he had a vision that time, much before the times I would say, of the vision for the Indian Ocean. We organized a seminar those days, and on the Indian Ocean, he had the vision to outline these cooperation, maritime cooperation and security for the entire Indian Ocean region. And he talked about the Indian Ocean Panchayat. And he was really one man who was well ahead of his times and everything. So, and the most important thing I think in all this was the people, the men and women behind the machines. And that is something that he always spoke about. He considered that each ship of the Indian Navy as a microcosm of India. And he talked about unity and diversity being in each of our ships, which is actually the essence of India itself. And Mrs. Ramdas played a stellar role in this connectivity or connect with the people. And both of them had this amazing ability to connect up with the people, look after the people, look after not just the staff, but everybody who was there. And I think that led to Admiral running a taut, an efficient, but a very happy Indian Navy. And they never forgot their tough years in the Navy or what they'd been through. And the symbol of that was a tally on the desk of Admiral Ramdas, which said, "Remember, Ramu, we always said, this is one thing we will never do." And Mr. Ramdas was always there, to make sure that they never forgot. They kept their feet on the ground. And it was, for me, it was enriching and a rewarding experience to have that. We were privileged to get so much warmth and affection from both me and my wife, Meenu, from Admiral and Mr. Ramdas. For me personally, it was a professional experience. And as I said, it shaped my future career or how I navigated the paths in the Navy thereon. For me, life came full circle when in 2014, Admiral Ramdas entered the office of the Chief of Naval Staff, and yours truly was the CNS then. And I could see the pride on his face to see his staff officer, yet another person on his staff who had reached the office of the CNS. Mrs. Ramdas and Admiral visited Navy House, and this brought back many nostalgic memories for both Meenu and me, which we had spent with them while we were there. This was during the Chiefs Conclave in 2014. In 2016, we had the privilege to host Admiral Mr. Ramdas at the International Fleet Review at Visakhapatnam. So I'd only say that in the passing of Admiral Ramdas, we've lost a stalwart leader and one of our most tallest admirals, who actually served the Navy and the nation with honor and pride. And I'm sure that, as you've seen, he had a sense of humor. He's watching all of us with a smile on his face, probably riding the waves in heaven on his nav and humming, "Chali re, meri naav chali re." So Admiral Ramdas, you will live in our hearts forever. Thank you very much.
Suthan, who served with our father. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us in person due to ill health, but he has sent his memories, and I'm going to read out a little bit of what he wanted to share. So he's written while he's recovering from his ill health in bed. My association with Admiral began in 1977 when I was his temporary navigator while he was Captain 32 Patrol Vessel Squadron for a major tactical exercise. Naturally, I was quite apprehensive, having seen his dominating personality from afar. As days progressed at sea, the tough exterior began to melt, probably due to my meeting all his tough navigational demands effectively. And I would like to believe that he appreciated my professionalism. In those 10 days at sea, I saw a true professional and a leader in action. After that, we both went our own paths. I'm going to read a little bit at the end. These 4 odd years of close interaction with the Admiral was truly a period of warm professional and personal relationship, which provided an anchor for my own development. He was a true role model, a fantastic leader, and an adorable individual. I carry many fond memories of our association, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. So thank you, Prem, and thank you, Admiral Dhowan. And now, the person who had a joke, I remember my Commodore, my Bada, as the person with a joke for every occasion and a song played on your keyboard at the end of any get-together or party. And I have the pleasure inviting Commodore Medioma, Mike Bada, as our next speaker.
The young lady, that you should have been in the cricket team, the way you bowled googlies at us. Because this was least expected. Loly, ladies of Laura Farm, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard much about our dear loving Admiral Ramdas and his professional capabilities, his abilities. I am no one to comment on that aspect. I did spend some very wonderful innings serving under him as his fleet operations officer in the Eastern Fleet. But let me hasten to add that how that happened is still not known to me. I am certain the Admiral was not aware of the fact that I am an aviator. There has never been an aviator who has done a fleet operations officer's duties. And to make matters worse, I was an ex-supply officer who has never done his courses, who has never been to Vendruti, who has never done his watchkeeping, and yet had been appointed as the fleet operations officer to none other than Admiral Ramdas. Personally, I think it was a bit of a fait accompli for him. But I managed to get over that. Ladies and gentlemen, the short span of time that I spent with him on board, and later on as his principal staff officer, as DNAS at Naval Headquarters, the thing which struck me most was him as a human being, humble and humane. And there are a few instances which come to my mind highlighting these two aspects of his character. Of course, my first meeting with Admiral Ramdas was when I was doing my staff college in 1975, half a century ago. He was then, I think, the DOP, Captain Ramdas. And he had come down to Staff College to give a lecture. So he checked into the officers' mess, and I don't know, the evening before or that very morning, he went down and had his breakfast. And this is what he told us when he came to give us this lecture. He says, I had my breakfast, I went back to my room, I found that my room had been vacated. And I had been shifted out of that room. So I asked the mess havildar, hey, what's happening? He says, Saab, ek major saab aa raha hai. So captain saab ko room dusra milega. Somebody else would have, maybe even I was in such a situation, would have thrown up a tantrum. But no, Admiral Ramdas didn't. Then Ramu didn't do that. He explained to the mess havildar the nuances of our inter-service rank structure. Not that it helped any. His room had to be changed. But that's Ramu. He took it in his own stride without making a hullabaloo about it. I still remember, Loly, I don't remember the occasion, but a statement he made, which is in my mind, loud and clear even today. He said, I come from very humble beginnings, which was just mentioned, was detailed. He says, my name itself suggests that. Lakshman, Ram, and Das. Each one of us, sometime or the other, have had a Lakshman or a Ram or a Das in our lives, hovering around with a dust around his shoulder. That's the kind of a person I am. Lakshman and Ram and Das. Now that struck me as humility personified. I think it was Ramu and Loly's 25th wedding anniversary, when he was the Deputy Chief of Naval Staff and I was the DNAS in Delhi, and Ruby and I were fortunate to have been invited for that lovely show, which the girls put on. Keki Pestinji, one of our other colleagues, most of you must be knowing him, Keki Pestinji and I decided to put up a little skit. The skit was of Rambo and Sambo. So I was Sambo and Keki was Rambo. And I walk across with a lantern in my hand. From the opposite side comes Rambo, Keki. He said, hello Sambo, what you doing, man? Haven't seen you for a long time. So I say, oh hi Rambo, yes, we haven't met for a long time. How have you been doing? We just exchanged pleasantries. And the Rambo says, so where are you off to? Well, I'm going courting. Oh, you're going courting? Finally, I'm so happy for you, Sambo. But why the lantern? He said, I'm going courting. He says, yeah, you go courting, but you don't take a lantern with you. Rambo says, you don't take a lantern with you? I said, no. Sambo says, no, you have to take a lantern with you. He said, don't be silly. You know our friend Ramu? 25 years ago, got married, he was courting. He didn't take a lantern. Sambo looks at him and says, yes. So I remember him very well. Poor chap. Look what he got. Of course, Ramu took it in his stride, but there was Loly chasing me around the way. Another incident which comes to my mind, and I'm talking about these because only from the humility and the humane point of view of this great man, a great individual. I was his fleet operations officer, and we were on an exercise, and as Ranjit with Prem and Captain had come from the west coast, and we went out to sea for this exercise. And 48-hour exercise, being on the bridge for 48 hours. Late in the evening, late in the night actually, I was standing at one end of the bridge in the corner where the Admiral walks up to me and says, I think, Mike, you're looking tired. Why don't you go and take some 40 winks, go down to the captain's cabin and rest. Don't worry, everything I'll handle here. Now this is what the fleet commander is telling his crew. I hesitated. I said, no, it's all right. No, I insist. I said, okay. So I went down to the captain's cabin, hoping to lie down for a few minutes on the captain's bunk. But to my utter surprise, the captain himself was in the bunk. Then I looked on the couch, and there, I don't know what he was doing on board, but I think it was Chotu Das on the bunk. So I quickly took a cushion and I flicked out on the carpet. After some time, the curtain was slightly drawn, and the Admiral looks in and says, Fu, the weather is getting very bad. I think we should send the missile boats in. So Fu, yours truly, he looks up and says, I think that's a good idea, sir. Thank you very much. He draws the curtain back and he goes up. And he said, the Fu continues to sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, this is unbelievable. But it's only recently, and I'm talking now 40 years later, 40, 45 years later, this incident was related in a party which, Admiral, you were present, D.K. Sharma's 85th birthday party recently, when Prem Das is there and he saw me, he said, oh, Fu! And then he relates the story. Everybody's surprised. But that's what Admiral Ramdas was. You may have some wonderful memories of him. I'm sure we have nothing to worry about. His soul is resting in peace. Thank you very much. Thank you.
As I said, our memories of you, Commodore Bada, are these fantastic stories. And we just listen and listen and listen. Our father was fearless and stood up to defend what we understand now was his steadfast belief in India's constitution and its values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. And there are two events during this period which stand out for us as a family, which we thought it would be really great to share with you. So even before he was selected to be the CNS, where many might have wavered, he gave his blessings to Kavita, his eldest daughter, to marry the love of her life, Zulfikar Ahmed, a Pakistani citizen at the time. He was also fortunate to have the support of the Indian government at the senior-most levels to enable him and our mother to attend their wedding in the US. He was again CNS at Navy House, Delhi, when Madhu, the love of my life, and I decided to get married under India's Special Marriage Act, 1954, that's the act. And we informed my mother and father that we would not have more than 50 guests, theirs, ours, relatives, everyone put together, no invitation cards, and no religious ceremonies at this event, with DIY. That is, whoever came, you'd have to be part of doing the decorations yourself. And that's how we celebrated all of this at Navy House. And of course, our father supported us unequivocally, as it was our choice, and not some societal pressure or expectation that a CNS had to stand up to. And of course, he took that with him as they moved on into the life after the Navy. And I'm going to, this was his favorite song.
आज मेरी नाव चली रे चली रे चली रे मेरी नाव चली रे न जाने किधर आज मेरी नाव चली रे चली रे चली रे मेरी नाव चली रे कोई कहे यहाँ चली कोई कहे.
And it really was like that because he retired from the Navy and none of us really knew where they were heading next. My mum and him thought they would be moving to Hyderabad. But then, it was truly an important milestone in Ramu Ramdas's life when after retirement from the Navy, he chose and he decided to come to this beautiful land in village Bhaimala, Alibagh, which had been awarded to him by the government of Maharashtra in recognition of his role in the 1971 war. And this is where he took on his new and I think one of his most favorite roles till he passed, which was being a grandfather and one of the most fun tatas. That's what the three of his grandchildren called him, Tata, to Nirvan, Meera and Mrinalini. And of course, he continued to spend the remaining part of his life to defend the Constitution of India and serve its people, where he's charting a completely new course. And I invite Mama now to share some of those special memories of life here in Alibagh after retirement from the Navy.
ज़्यादा थक तो नहीं गए? मैं ऊपर वालों की वजह पूछ रही हूँ. हाँ. Before I come to Bhaimala, I just want to say there are others here. हमारे जो नेवी के साथी हैं, टाइम के कमी की वजह से सबको हम नहीं बुला सकते थे कुछ बोलने की, अपने अनुभव, अपनी बातें रखने के लिए. But I just want to remind Admiral Shekhawat, who took over from Ramu as Chief of Naval Staff, September 93, है ना? September. अच्छा, तो हमेशा जो होता है नेवी के बहुत से फंक्शंस होते हैं और आखिरी फंक्शन में जो फेयरवेल फंक्शन था, बहुत से लोग अपने अपने भाषण बता रहे थे. तो शेखावत साहब ने बोला, अच्छा अभी एडमिरल रामदास जी आप कुछ बोलिए. सो उन्होंने बोला, बहुत से लोग अभी भाषण देते आ रहे हैं, मैं भाषण नहीं दूंगा, मैं गाना गाऊंगा. लोग चौंक गए, अरे भाई ये कैसे चीफ है, ये भाषण नहीं देंगे, फेयरवेल नहीं करेंगे, मगर गाना गाएंगे. और क्या गाना गाए मालूम? ना जाने मुझ ना जाने घर आज मोरी नाव चली रे चली रे चली रे मोरी नाव आज मेरी नाव चली रे चली रे चली रे मोरी नाव चली रे न जाने किधर आज मेरी नाव चली रे चली रे चली रे मोरी नाव चली रे. कोई कहे यहाँ चले, कोई कहे वहाँ चले. मन ने कहा पिया के गांव चली रे, पिया के गांव चली रे. तो हम पहुंचे इस गांव भाईमला में. और जैसे अभी सागरी ने याद दिलाया, ये गांव ये जमीन हमें कैसे मिली? क्योंकि 1971 के युद्ध में और क्योंकि उनकी पैदाइश हुई माटुंगम मुंबई में, महाराष्ट्र में, महाराष्ट्र की सरकार उनको ये इनाम दिया था. जब हम यहाँ पहुंचे, लोग बोलने लगे आप तो पागल हो, 60 साल की उम्र, ना तो घर ना तो भाषा, आप कहीं पे कभी भी गांव में नहीं रह चुके हो, और आपका पेंशन कितना है मालूम? 2,750 रुपये पेंशन। इसके साथ आप वहां जाके जियोगे? बोला चलो देखेंगे क्या होता है, हम करेंगे। और मैं कुछ लोगों की मैं शक्ल ढूंढ रही हूँ यहाँ पे, अभी तक शायद नहीं पहुंचे हैं, जो हमारे साथ दिए थे उन दिनों से। November 1993, when we first landed here in Alibagh in Bhaimala, किसी को हम जानते नहीं थे, भाषा नहीं जानते थे, जगह नहीं जानते थे, यहाँ की क्या संस्कृति क्या है कुछ नहीं जानते। सिर्फ हमें पता था कि जमीन है हमारी। और मैं सबसे पहले, मैं हर एक का मैं नाम लिखित है मेरे पास, मगर और आधा घंटा चले जाएगा उसमें। मैं सिर्फ सब लोगों को मेरी और सर के बहुत बहुत प्यार, धन्यवाद जो उन्होंने हमारे साथ दिया तब से आज तक। और कहीं पे हमें ये साथ तो दिया गया है, ये ताकत, ये प्यार नहीं मिलेगी हमें। तो मैं सिर्फ आप सबको, हमारी जो भाईमाला अलीबाग के परिवार है, हम प्लीज मैं विनती करती हूँ आप खड़े हो जाइए, सब लोग खड़े हो जाइए तो लोग देख सकते हैं। भारती, क्रांति, अने उधर हिंगादे, रईस भाई पता नहीं कहाँ पे है, हमारी गाड़ी, दीपक, गुरुजी, मानसी, कौन नहीं वहाँ पे, मोहन, दयानंद, नाम तो बस चलते जाएंगे। But I wanted, and Ramu always wanted, the different parts of his life, which was very unorthodox. आपने देखा अभी नेवी के, और सिर्फ 3 जन बोले हैं यहाँ, और भी जन है यहाँ पे, मैं उनको भी मैं खड़ा करने वाली हूँ। मगर सबसे पहले यहाँ के जो स्थानीय लोग हैं, वो हमारी परिवार, हमारी बिरादरी बन गई तब से आज तक। और तभी हमें ये विश्वास है, जब भी ये बोलते अरे अकेले तुम्हारी बेटियां आपको उधर रहने देते हैं क्या, मैं बोला मैं अकेले नहीं हूँ, सब जगह हमारे साथी हैं। चाहे हमारे कहाँ है, राजू, विजय, आनंद, शिंदे अभी तक नहीं आएंगे, आएंगे धीरे धीरे। ये है गांव की
रफ्तार,
हाँ बर्ताव, बिल्कुल। ये टाइम वाइम तो जो नेवी का होता है ना, यहाँ पे दूसरी घड़ी चलती है। तो जस्ट वांट टू से दो मेरे तरफ से सबको बहुत 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 धन्यवाद। हम चाहते थे कि सब लोग जो इनके अलग प्रकार के जो दुनिया में उन्होंने जिया, जो काम किया, जब हम यहाँ पे आए, एक फोटो है वहाँ पे, Ramu didn't think he would ever build a house. So when he built this house, there is a lovely photograph. You see the back, he's looking up at a rainbow, and there's the one part of the newly constructed house there. It tells it all. And talking about LTT and all of that, if you look carefully, वहाँ पे पुलिस के टेंट होते थे। पुलिस के टेंट इसलिए कि जो श्रीलंका का, he was under some Z category or the other, so we had the police protection out there. और जब जूली पहले बार, हमारे दामाद जो पाकिस्तान में पैदाइश हुई, उनकी अमेरिकन सिटीजन थे, मगर बार बार उनको पुलिस रिपोर्टिंग करना पड़ता था। तो सर यूज्ड टू टेल हिम, अरे देखो जूली, अलीबाग बम्बई में जाना नहीं पड़ेगा अभी तुमको, इधर ही आपको पुलिस बाहर है, वहां जाके आप रिपोर्ट कर लो। So these were the kind of things। और सबको मैंने थैंक यू किया। हमारे एक्स सर्विसमैन जो अलीबाग के हैं, आप उठे प्लीज, थैंक यू वेरी मच। और हमारी पुलिस के सिपाही कहाँ पे हैं? वहीं पे है क्या? है उधर, उनको बुलाओ ना, क्या गार्ड कर रहे हैं वहां पे अभी?
ड्यूटी ड्यूटी
ड्यूटी। जब 22 गांव आंदोलन के बारे में अभी हम बुलाएंगे थोड़ा लोगों को बताने के लिए। गुरु जी, उस समय पुलिस वाले, रामू ने, ये कोई नेवी चीफ कभी भी रास्ता रोको में नहीं भाग लिया था, मगर रास्ता रोको भी किया। याद है गुरु जी? गांव गांव में जाके लोगों को बोला, आप इंडिया बुल्स और सरकार को अपना गांव मत बेचिए। तो बोले हाँ ठीक कह रहे हो। पुलिस बोले सर सॉरी, हम आपको रोकना पड़ेगा, वो हमारी ड्यूटी है, मगर हमारी भी तो गांव जा रही है ये इंडिया जो SEC के जो आयोजन था। Anyway, so that is how we came to Alibagh, and during this time in Alibagh, there have been all kinds of extraordinary things that happened. मैं सिर्फ 2 मिनट के लिए गुरु जी को आमंत्रण करेंगी, because if it was not for him, he is a retired school teacher. Afterwards, थोड़ी देर के बाद बोल रहे हैं सर मैंने अपना, आप बैठ जाइए 1 मिनट, मैं अपना जो क्रम था मैं भूल गई, सॉरी। राइट, ओके। आफ्टरवर्ड्स हमारे फ्लैग लेफ्टिनेंट अभी 1 नहीं 2 है, तो वो अभी हमें बता रहे हैं भाई अभी बस जो आगे कविता लेके जाएगी प्रोग्राम और अपना टाइम का अनुसार वो भी बताएगी। बट दिस इज रियली व्हाट आई वांटेड टू से कि हमारी यहाँ की यात्रा सबसे मजेदार, सबसे, मैं क्या कहूँ अनयूजुअल ये रहा है पिछले 30 साल। चित्र। थैंक यू।
शेयरिंग कमेंट्स गुरुजी, सॉरी, लेकिन जैसे अम्मा ने कहा, हम ऐसे होते हैं कि अगर प्लान बनाते हैं तो प्लान से स्टिक करना चाहिए, पर मम्मी कभी प्लान पे नहीं रुकती है, वो अपने प्लान्स बना देती है। तो ये अचिन विनायक साहब से एक पत्र आया है, तो मैं जरा पढ़ूं, सॉरी ये भी अंग्रेजी में है। Achin Vinayak is one of the founders and one of the activists who supported my parents in an effort called the Pakistan-India Forum for Peace and Democracy. And I just want to read out his comments in support and in memory of my father. From a somewhat distant appreciation to affection as one among us, sums up the trajectory of my personal relationship with First Admiral, then Ramu Ramdas. In 1995, the Pakistan-India Forum for Peace and Democracy, PIPFPD, was set up not simply by concerned civil society organizations in both countries, but also with the support of former people who had served at the top levels in their different governments. On the Indian side, many of us who had participated in different ways to promote and strengthen this organization were first surprised and then delighted to that no less than a former chief of the Indian Navy would lend his name and authority to this effect at creating a new moral and political channel where citizens' voices could be raised against the otherwise standard fare of hubristic, arrogant and militaristic nationalisms that were flaunted publicly on both sides. Such wisdom and commitment is now needed more than ever. But he goes on to add that I only really got to know Ramu in the months and years following the 1998 nuclear tests when India and Pakistan came out as nuclear weapon states. The Pakistan Peace Coalition and the formation of the Coalition for Nuclear Disarmament and Peace was created to work to understand the dangers of this South Asian nuclearization and to generate public awareness of this work. Ramu, along with Loly, were very much involved in setting up this effort and helping to create linkages with anti-nuclear and human rights bodies domestically in South Asia and further abroad. He ends by saying, we all want to be admired and respected by as wide a cross-section of people as possible. It tells of Ramu's courage that he would be so willing to forsake an earlier reputation for the values, principles and causes he had come to believe in. Among those were his fierce commitment to a secular and humane India, bereft not just of communal hostilities, but of prejudices such as embodied by a narrow majoritarian religious conception of nationalism. Here too, perhaps, it was his experience as a naval officer that most reinforced his commitment to secularism, since for at least several decades after independence, it was the armed forces which were the most secular of all institutions in India, and in the Navy even more so, because unlike the Army, it did not entertain ethnic-based groupings of non-officer recruits. Ramu joined the Indian Navy because he wanted to dedicate his life to the protection of India. And as his remarkable life unfolded, he interpreted this same lifelong commitment to mean above all the pursuit of human security and not just territorial security of land and sea. Very deservedly in 2004, he received the Magsaysay Award for him and Pakistan's IA Rahman Saab's efforts to generate a South Asia peace movement for India-Pakistan reconciliation. In his passing away, so many of us, not just myself, but a range of other progressive social movements and civil liberties groups have lost a friend, a comrade, and a mentor. He will always be fondly remembered. So thank you so much for this, and thank you Achinji for being able to share your thoughts with us. Saguji.
तो सर्वांनी इंग्रजीतून ऐकलेला आहे, हिंदीतून ऐकलेला आहे. मी मात्र मराठी. चालेल ना? कारण मला वेळ थोडा आहे आणि मला इतर भाषेत हिंदीतून बोलायला गेलो तर तेवढंसं जमणार नाही, म्हणून मी झटक्यात मराठीतून बोलतो. आमच्याकडे 2006ला इंडिया बुल्सचा से झाला होता आणि त्याच्यामुळे आमच्या विभागातील जवळजवळ वाड्या वस्त्या धरून 29 गावं उद्ध्वस्त होणार होती. आणि आमच्या तरुण मंडळींनी या ठिकाणी एक संघटना निर्माण केली. भुवनेश्वरला मीटिंग झाली होती आणि त्या भुवनेश्वरच्या मीटिंग मध्ये संघटना निर्माण झाली. तिथे सर्वांनी एकमुखाने अध्यक्ष म्हणून माझं नाव सुचवलं आणि मी त्याला अनुमती दिली. आणि तेव्हापासून नंतर मग आम्हाला माणसं कोण, महत्वाची माणसं कोण पाहिजेत. आपण जर का राजकारण्यांकडे गेलो तर हा लढा आपण जिंकणार नाही याची आम्हाला खात्री होती. आणि म्हणून आम्ही ऍडमिरल साहेबांकडे आलो आणि ऍडमिरल साहेबांबरोबर आम्ही बोललो की आम्हाला आपलं मार्गदर्शन पाहिजे. आणि त्यांनी ताबडतोब होय म्हटलं, कारण त्यांची सुद्धा ही लँड त्याच्यामध्ये जाणार होती. दिदी होत्या, दिदींनी ताबडतोब सांगितलं ठीक आहे, तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना जेवढा पाहिजे तेवढा सपोर्ट आम्ही करू. आणि त्याप्रमाणे त्यांनी आम्हाला सपोर्ट असा केला. इथे आमची त्यांनी जात पाहिली नाही, आमचा त्यांनी धर्म पाहिला नाही, आमचं त्यांनी शिक्षण पाहिलं नाही. आम्ही शेतकरी आहोत, शेतकऱ्याची पोरं आहोत आणि ते आमच्या बरोबर शेतकऱ्यासारखे राहिले. जिथे बोलवू तिथे मीटिंगसाठी ते आले. आम्ही मानकुळ्यामध्ये गेलो. मानकुळा म्हणजे खाडीपाटातलं गाव आहे एकदम. तिथे गेलो, तिथे आम्ही मीटिंग केली. जिथे जिथे आम्ही त्यांना बोलू तिथे तिथे ते येत होते आणि ते आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन करतील. त्यांच्यामुळं आम्ही हा लढा जिंकू शकलो. कारण त्यांनी आमच्यासाठी मोठमोठाले आणून दिले पुढे, म्हणजे मार्गदर्शन. पी सावंत सुप्रीम कोर्टाचे निवृत्त न्यायाधीश होते, त्यांना पाचारण केलं. त्यानंतर बॉम्बे हायकोर्टचे BJ कोळसे पाटील, त्यांनाही आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन करण्याकरता बोलवलं होतं. आमचे ऍडव्होकेट दत्ता पाटील होतेच. आणि अशा प्रकारे ते राजकारणातून निवृत्त झाल्यामुळे आमच्या बरोबर होते. आणि अशा प्रकारे राजकारणातीत असा हा लढा आम्ही चालवला. त्याच्यामध्ये आम्हाला मोलाचं मार्गदर्शन, म्हणजे कुठल्याही मंत्र्याला, मुख्यमंत्र्यांना भेटायचा विलासराव देशमुख मुख्यमंत्री होते, नारायण राणे उद्योगमंत्री होते, कुठल्याही मंत्र्याला भेटायचं तर आम्ही ऍडमिरल रामदास साहेबांबरोबर गेलो तर आम्हाला कुठलाही पास लागत नव्हता, काही लागत नव्हता. आम्ही त्यांना सरळ भेटू शकत होतो आणि आमच्या भेटी करून देत होते. आणि त्यामुळं ह्या सगळ्या लोकांना कळलं की ह्या लोकांना किती तळमळ आहे की आपली जमीन जाता कामा नये याची. आणि त्यामुळं हे सरकार शेवटी नमलं आणि 2012 सन 2012च्या 28 सप्टेंबरला मंत्रालयामध्ये जी मीटिंग झाली त्याच्यामध्ये आमचा फक्त रांजणखार मल्टीपर्पज सेज आणि पुण्याजवळचा एक सेज असे 2च सेज रद्द झाले. ते मिळवून देण्यामध्ये आमच्या रामदास साहेबांचा फार मोठा सिंहाचा वाटा होता आणि ते आमच्यासाठी खरोखर फरिश्ता होते, म्हणजे देवदूत होते असं म्हटलं तर ते वावगं ठरणार नाही. आणि एवढं म्हणून त्यांना त्यांच्या स्वर्गामध्ये निश्चित चांगल्या प्रकारचं वरचं स्थान मिळालेलं असेल, कारण त्यांची वागण्याची जी पद्धत होती सर्वांबरोबर समान वागणं, कोणी उच्च नाही कोणी नीच नाही अशा प्रकारचं सगळ्यांबरोबर वागण्याची जी पद्धती होती त्यांची, त्यामुळे त्यांना निश्चितच स्वर्गामध्ये सुद्धा उच्च स्थान मिळालं असेल मी म्हणतो. आणि आपल्या सर्वांची राजा घेतो. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र.
बहुत शुक्रिया Arjun Gawande sir. Arjun Gawande, I'm sure everyone who understood Marathi has understood what amazing collaboration and struggle that they were part of here in Bhaimala, in this region. It gives me great pleasure to now invite 4 people who were very closely associated with Papa while he was here in their time here in Lara. We are delighted to have with us Anand Patwardhan, documentary filmmaker. We also have Rajesh Tandon, the director of Priya in Delhi, and Muzhar Hussein from Kova in Hyderabad, and Colonel Pavan Nair, who will share reminiscences of their time with Ramu Da, or Admiral Ramu as he was fondly called. So Anand, right you first. Thank you.
Lovely to be here. I wish I had come while Ramu was still there. I did come once, but it's strange to be here without him. I won't speak much because I actually brought a clip that I want to show. And if we have a video projector, I can just connect it and then we'll show that. Because my association with Ramu actually deepened. I already knew Loly from a long time ago. We were in Delhi, I think, doing civil liberties work. Yeah, I think it was after the 84 massacre of the Sikhs, and probably even before that. I can't remember when we first met. But what was lovely in meeting Ramu was that I have always grown up, I've always felt that the military was not exactly the place that I would ever see myself associated with, because we believed in human rights, we believed in peace. But here in Ramu we found somebody from the military who thought exactly like us. And so it was completely refreshing to see that. And my association, I think what you'll see in the little film clip is also when we went to Pakistan. When I went to Pakistan the first time as part of PIPFPD, the Pakistan-India Forum for Peace and Democracy, and it was 1999, just less than a year after the nuclear tests that India and Pakistan had done. And we went to, we started from Wagah border and we crossed the border. We went right to Peshawar and had the meeting there in Peshawar. In Peshawar, Ramu met with military counterparts from Pakistan. And that is the clip that I will show you in a few minutes.
नमस्कार. आनंद की तरह मैं भी महसूस कर रहा हूँ कि मुझे 30 साल पहले यहाँ आना चाहिए था.
काम पे लगा देते आपको.
मेरी शादी 6 कुशक रोड पे हुई। वाइस एडमिरल थे रामू। मेरे परिवार के लोग वहां आए और उन्होंने समझा कि शायद नेवल चीफ की बिटिया से शादी हुई, क्योंकि 6 कुशक रोड पे शादी हुई। और शाम को पार्टी में रामू ने वो गाने गाए जो उनके कई लोगों ने उनके ह्यूमन एस्पेक्ट के बारे में बात की। हम लोग 1990-91 में वॉलंटरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक नेटवर्क बना रहे थे वाणी, और उसका उद्देश्य ये था कि जो लोग अलग अलग जगहों पे काम कर रहे हैं उनके लिए कुछ प्रोटेक्शन हो। लाखों लोग स्वैच्छिक संगठनों में काम करते हैं देश में, तब भी करते थे, अभी करते हैं, और वहां पे काम करने वाले जो कार्यकर्ता हैं उनके लिए कोई इंश्योरेंस या पेंशन या वो 2750 रुपए की भी व्यवस्था नहीं है। तो रामू जब रिटायर हो गए और यहाँ नहीं आए थे, कुआं नहीं खोदा था उन्होंने यहाँ तब तक, उस बीच में उनको हमने पकड़ा, उनसे गपशप हुई, तो एक व्यापक इनिशिएटिव इस संदर्भ में उनके विचारों से शुरू हुआ। इस बात को बहुत कम लोग जानते हैं, क्योंकि रामू कभी अपने मुंह से बोलेंगे नहीं, और हम लोग उसका प्रचार प्रसार एक्शन से ज्यादा करते हैं, शब्दों से कम। और उनकी सोच जो इस बात के लिए थी उनका कि भाई आप भी तो एक तरह से देश निर्माण के सिपाही हैं, तो आपके लिए ऐसी व्यवस्था क्यों नहीं है। और उसके इर्द गिर्द जो सोच शुरू हुई, तो वहां से कई ऐसे प्रयास निकले जिससे कि हेल्थ केयर, जो स्वैच्छिक क्षेत्र में काम करने वाले लोग हैं, चाहे उन्हें तनख्वाह मिलती हो या नहीं मिलती हो, और उसके साथ साथ उनके इंश्योरेंस और उनके कुछ फ्यूचर बच्चों की व्यवस्था, यहाँ तक कि उनकी बच्चों की पढ़ाई की व्यवस्था के बारे में व्यापक विचार विमर्श और एक्शन प्लान बने। और उन्हीं में से एक का ये फायदा हुआ कि जब कोविड हुआ तो मेरे अंदाज से करीब 2500 लोग जो फ्रंट लाइन पे काम करते थे देश में, वो कोविड के शिकार हुए, और उनके बच्चों परिवारों के उसी सोच से लोग व्यवस्था को आगे ले सके। और मुझे तो अभी भी याद है कि हमारे व्यापक परिवार के लोग अभी भी मानते हैं कि मेरी नेवी में शादी हुई है।
Thank you very much. Salam, namaskar, and salute to all of you. My association with Ramdas Saab started in 1994. And every instance, every association with him had transported me to a new dimension in my life, a new experience. Before that, 1994, I was into the corporate sector and academics and all that. That was the time when I first came into peace work. Peace pe kaam karna shuru kiya. And in Bombay, I attended the first meeting on peace. Yahin pe. And I was sitting there, and next to me there was this very elegant looking person sitting. And the lunch, tea break hua, then I introduced myself. And then he said, I am Admiral Ramdas. I was amazed and surprised. कि ये पीस की मीटिंग में, और वो भी इंडिया पाकिस्तान के पीस के बारे में बात हो रही है, ये क्या कर रहे हैं? But that also gave me a lot of inspiration. कि भाई कुछ ये मूवमेंट में दम है. But the Admiral is coming here to work for it. We have a long way to go. Another thing perhaps many of you may not be aware is about an initiative which was shepherded by Admiral Ramdas Saab of bringing about reconciliation, preventing a certain war between India and Pakistan. 2001, there was this attack on Indian Parliament. Immediately, no communication between India and Pakistan, no visa, nothing. And eyeball to eyeball, our armies was facing each other. वहाँ पे 2003, after about a year and a half, SAARC had introduced a visa called SAARC visa. SAARC, not many people knew about it. SAARC visa was introduced there. That SAARC visa had this provision that any member of parliament or judges of the Supreme Court and others, they could travel through any port within the SAARC countries. So जैसे ही आया, because nobody was going, nobody was coming. Immediately, we thought this is a good opportunity, and Admiral Ramdas took the initiative, and Khurshid Kusuri was the the foreign minister at that time, and we managed to get 5 visas. Admiral Ramdas sir, Jatin Bhai is here sitting with us, me, and Tapan Bose, and Shushoba. No, not Shushoba. Pushpa. 5 of us went via Dubai, and we went and mentioned this to the members of parliament there in Pakistan. Everybody was overjoyed. Oh, yes, hum to aayenge. And about 18 of them, 25 wanted to come, but 18 of them came, and Delhi and Bombay. And we had this meeting with the Prime Minister and with the Speaker and everything. The whole atmosphere changed. So, uska tha mahol, ladai, jhagde ka and all that. Immediately when they came and started talking peace, the media came. They invited Indian parliamentarians. So, यहाँ से 25 लोग गए under the leadership of Lalu Prasad Yadav. And I think he became a big hit there in Pakistan. आज भी लोग याद करते हैं. And with that, the whole mahol changed. And slowly within 2-3 months, the army started withdrawing. Both sides. So I think perhaps this is perhaps the only instance in history where an admiral navigated peace and prevented war between two countries. I can't think of anything like that. And there are so many things I can, but I would like to just say the last thing. See, I'm sure all of us have gone to so many funerals. I have been to so many funerals of all faiths. Everywhere there are rituals. Then after some point, we all feel, now it has to end. It has to end. कब खत्म होगा? वो burial है या cremation है या जो भी है. I also had this thing to be present at Admiral Ramdas' funeral in Hyderabad. I don't know how many of you were there. All those who were there will agree with me कि वहाँ पे कोई ritual नहीं था. Absolutely no ritual at all. And there was magic. Loly Appa, Kavita, Sagari and Lalita. They were singing all the favorite songs of Admiral Ramu. I never had such a sublime experience. That was one funeral which was a spiritual experience. And they succeeded in transforming that whole thing not into a funeral but into a celebration. Celebration of a legend and celebration of life itself. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Colonel Pavan Nair from the Corps of Engineers. I was lucky to get to know the Admiral a few years ago. And, you know, I'm a retired Colonel Sir, an Admiral, PRC. I was a little in awe of him. The first thing he told me was, we were on a forum. It was 8 or 10 like-minded people. This was around 1920. We were discussing the state of the country, to be honest. And he told me, Pavan, speak your mind on this forum. And I always did, and he appreciated it. The next thing he asked me was, being a Nair, which part of Kerala are you from? I said, sir, I am a Punjabi Nair. Oi tera, ki haal hai? He started speaking to me in Tate Punjabi. So it was, we used to pull each other's legs. And there was another small incident which happened where, on this forum, there was, Vikram is here, and there was a scientist, there was a writer, editors, and there were a few veterans. So they were always wondering, why are you calling each other sir? I mean, the Major Saab is calling Lieutenant Colonel Saab sir, I'm calling the General is calling the Admiral sir. So Admiral Ramdas says, all right, he starts with me, Pavan, from now, you will not call me sir. So I say, yes sir. That was the end of that campaign. that never happened. We always, just another small thing, I was lucky to also serve with Major General L.K. Murthy, his elder brother. His son is here, Raj, with us, and he was the chief engineer of 33 Corps. One division was spearheading the operations in northwest Bangladesh, and I was in an engineer regiment, a very fine officer, and we had a great time with him, a lot of regard. So when he was doing this in Bangladesh, Captain Ramdas was winning his Bir Chakra in the Eastern Fleet. Thank you so much.
We start knowing each other. Good. Ramesh Maheshwari from Bhopal.
A few years ago, despite official hostility, the Pakistan-India Forum for Peace and Democracy began to organize people-to-people visits across the border. After the nuclear tests, friendship between Indians and Pakistanis became the silver lining in the mushroom cloud.
पीस के लिए, जमहूरियत के लिए, लड़ाई झगड़ों के खात्मे के लिए, गुर्बत के खात्मे के लिए, इंसानियत के राज के लिए हम आपके मशहूर हैं। शुक्रिया।
आप क्या काम करते हैं?
मैं जी मजदूर हूँ, ये चराट सीमेंट में, सीमेंट फैक्ट्री में सीमेंट बनाते हैं। हम तो चाहते हैं ये मस्तूरी लकीरें जल्द अज जल्द जो है ये ख़त्म हो जाए। ये जो इन्होंने जितनी मस्तूरी तकसीम की हुई अपने मुफादात के लिए चंद बालादस्त लोगों ने, वहाँ के पंडित हैं या यहाँ के मुल्ला हैं जी, या वहाँ की जर्नलशाही है, यहाँ की जर्नलशाही है जी, ये ख़त्म होना चाहिए। ये बादल जो है ये एटम बम के ये छट जाएंगे आपके आने से। ओके,
तो मैं शुक्रिया कैसे कहता हूँ?
डेरा मानना, हाँ डेरा मानना, खास डेरा मानना।
हाँ? हमको काला वाला चाहिए, मगर
काला वाला चाहिए। बाचाखान वाला कपड़ा है।
हाँ,
वो बाचाखान
हम भी वही पहनते हैं, खादी।
हाँ, कदर। इसको
ये भी खद्दर है, ये है ना खद्दर।
I fought 3 wars against India. When I was fighting, I was a really motivated officer. I was doing it for the cause of my country. When the war finished, I realized that what did we achieve after that war? Firstly, the borders are the same, status quo. And the only changes I found after the war was that I lost some of my colleagues, some of the children growing up without parents, father. That was the only thing I feel. Now, in retrospect, at that time I couldn't say, because at that time I was a motivated man. I would just go for a kill.
And we have unnecessarily raised the stakes at all levels and to benefit nobody except to make our two countries poorer for all these acts and decisions. Make our people constantly now live under fear of something going wrong.
आपके सामने जब कोई चीज़ आती है तो आप सोचने बैठते हैं और मार्च में जो हम गए थे उसके 2 महीने के बाद ये न्यूक्लियर टेस्ट हो गए थे और उस वक्त हम जब इंडिया में टूर कर रहे थे तो सबसे ज़्यादा यही पैगाम हम लेके गए थे कि देयर शुड बी पीस बिटवीन इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान एंड इन द सब कॉन्टिनेंट एज अ होल। उस पीस मैसेज को कुछ लोगों ने मिसकंस्ट्रू किया
और जैसा कि बात हुई थी कि अपने देश से गद्दारी करके हिंदुस्तान की तरफदारी करते, तो मेरा उसमें ये कहना है कि
what I think more appropriately we should have called Ravi Mama, but we always knew him as Baba and then as Ravi. So we are very sad he can't be with us, but it's also his birthday tomorrow. So Baba, Ravi Mama, Ravi, happy birthday early from you. I'm sure that my dad is also watching. And here's his memory of Ramu. I had the privilege of having a ringside seat to the courtship of my sister and then the flag lieutenant to the CNS, the dashing Lieutenant Ramdas. I had no idea it was happening, not a very observant younger brother it seems, though I did notice that he began giving me some very useful gifts from time to time. And more importantly, he was allowing me to use his car for driving lessons in the spacious grounds of 12 King George's Avenue. The penny dropped only a little bit later. I'll always remember that badger shaving brush that he gave me. That became my regular companion until somebody pinched it some years later. I could not have asked for a nicer, friendlier, easy to admire brother-in-law, whose opinions, views and advice I grew to value immensely. It's difficult to put the memories of over 60 years into a short time capsule, but here are two memories in the very early days of the courtship with Loly that have stuck with me. When Tehzeeb entered my life, both Loly and Ramu played major roles in all matters that preceded our wedding. There are lots more collected over the years, but space forbids I go that route. We could not believe the sudden decline in his health that resulted in his passing, and one is left with a very deep void. Tehzeeb, I and our family will never forget you, Ramu. Rest in peace. In remembrance, Ravi and Tehzeeb, Shan, Jim, Adam, Zai, Rohan, Manchal and Zehan. Thank you.
And to conclude this section, we are delighted to have with us Tia, who is Manasi's daughter. Tia grew up witnessing the retired admiral's involvement in so many local and global issues of concern. And now we are all really happy that Tia is on her way to study at the United World College in Vancouver, Canada. And we invite Tia to conclude this session with a poem that she has written. Tia, where are you?
Without taking much of everyone's time, I think I'll just start off with the poem. I call it The Admiral of Peace. He sailed the seas, yet loved the land, a man of honor, firm yet grand. Not wealth, nor power marked his way, but a heart that shone like dawn's first ray. An admiral bold, yet humble still, a warrior's strength, a peacemaker's will. Where borders clashed, he saw the dream of love and hope in every stream. He chose not halls of gold and might, but village paths in morning light. With hands that lifted, hearts he healed, his kindness bloomed in every field. Lara Farm, his gift so true, where dreams took root and friendships grew. For every soul he lent a hand, a leader's love, a touch so grand. O Admiral, your name shall stay, not just in books, but hearts each day. Thank you.
There is one person I should have mentioned right at the beginning, whose presence here from the day we came to Alibagh was like an absolute anchor for us. This is Rajendra Mahatre. Bharati, कुठे आहे तुम्ही? इकडे ये. Rajendra was a young 20-year-old. He was just sent to us because we had nobody here. There was Admiral, myself, and Rajendra. Until 2023, he literally ran this place, looked after us, cared for us. And this is Bharati, who has been his wonderful, amazing, strong wife. Rajendra passed away 1 month before Ramu did. And I just wanted us to remember him, to pay tribute to him, and to know that till now, Bharati continues to be with us, gave us the solace, the strength. Her son is an engineer, he's working. Her daughter is married to a young civilian who works in the naval dockyard. So there are all kinds of interesting connections which carry on. So I just want a special tally for Bharati and for somebody else who is a guy called Muzhar, who helped. He was a worker in Delhi. He said, you are going and I can do nothing more than to come and help you build your house. You don't know the language, you don't know anything about construction, main aunga. So this is also a tribute to Muzhar, who passed away a few years ago. From Maharashtra, he said, aapko bhasha bhi nahi malum hai, main aake karunga. And one more person who built the roots of our educational initiative here, Pratham Raigad Education Initiative Trust, a wonderful woman called Vidya Patil, who runs an extraordinary bakery. Her name was Shembekar. We used to joke with her. But she started a bakery in Alibagh, which till today is the most popular bakery going. So it's these, as I said, are the people who kept us going. Also, I haven't been able to ask a number of you who I know would have had a lot to contribute today, but we were due. Thanks. Yes. Hurry up, time's moving on, stop it. And there were others who also sent in messages which we cannot read. There's Air Marshal Kapil Kak. Many of you might know of him. He's been one of the most influential figures in Track 2 diplomacy, particularly on the Kashmir question. And as I said, a few others. including Commodore Uday Bhaskar, who couldn't make it, but he has written again, something which I'll send around, but I couldn't read today. But I am totally delighted now. And as I said, we've spent a lot of time talking about human values and humanity and compassion. Krishna Swaminathan, I think, really embodies for us and for both of us many of these qualities. There are few serving, shall I say, C's and C's of any command who would actually, at this particular time, come out here, take this much of time to actually, give us the support, give us his solidarity. And I would like very much to invite you. I'm sorry his wife is not with us today. It's also Laila's birthday today. But we shall wish her in absentia. And it was also thanks to Krishna that the Navy Foundation, headed by Vijay Vadera, has also been so helpful, organizing transport, doing a lot of the, bandobast and so on. Thank you very much again. Krishna.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm feeling somewhat overwhelmed to be standing here and speaking in front of two former chiefs and some very respected seniors. I don't know if it's my place to speak anything about Admiral Ramdas. I was a young officer when he was the Chief of Naval Staff, and it's well beyond my station to say anything about what he did in his life. So allow me to please say a couple of things about this afternoon and how it happened and what it means to all of us. I know that Mrs. Ramdas met me a couple of months back when she had come for the beading retreat ceremony, and she said, we want to do an afternoon in memory of Admiral Ramdas, and this is the second anniversary of his passing. And she also said to me that she had written to the Navy and said, why don't we do it? Why doesn't the Navy do it? Of course, the Navy does these kind of things, but we have a system, and the system, of course, had only one solution, and that was we do a centennial. We don't do, things like this. And she said that, we don't want to wait for the centennial because we want to get together people. We want to get together people who Admiral Ramdas has been, associated with. Of course, he had a life before the Navy. He had a very, very illustrious and sterling life in the Navy, and he had a very, very rewarding life after the Navy as well. And he had a huge variety of friends, associates in all the work that he did. She said, we just want to get all of them together and just celebrate his life and times. And so I said, don't worry, we'll do it. And I requested the Navy Foundation. And Commander Vijay Vadera he's retired, but never ever tired. And he just looks for every single opportunity to pounce onto something good. And he said, of course, we'll do it. I'm so glad he did it. And I'm so glad that we could get together such an eclectic mix of people who've been associated with Admiral Ramdas. The range of people, the range of his interests, I think this afternoon does entire justice to the wonderful man he was and to the wonderful family you are. So thank you so much for doing this for us. It means a lot, and there is a lot to be said about remembering the life and times and thoughts and interests of a person as diverse or as as evolved in his thinking as Admiral Ramdas. And I think a lot of people came and said a few sentiments, and so I think this makes for a very, very happy and rewarding afternoon. I just think that all of us are very, very fortunate to be here, and I'm so grateful to Mrs. Ramdas and the wonderful Ramdas siblings, of course Malika we meet, and the extended Ramdas family for being here with us and having this. This place is most appropriate. Admiral Ramdas spent the last 3 decades of his life here. To imagine coming to a place like this where there's nothing, with a pension of 2,750 rupees, planting from the first tree, there was no water, there's nothing, it's harsh in the summers, planting the trees, and I think they have over 2,500 trees here. So, seeing the place transform was in a way, Admiral Ramdas may have seen the Navy transform, having joined in 1953, and, so maybe he had a labor of love there. and then he had another labor of love here, and equally successful in both. So I'm just so grateful, man, that I have this opportunity of being here, meeting your wonderful family, meeting, your wonderful guests. This has been an afternoon very well spent. I've done this. I mean, Admiral Dhowan has flown all the way from Delhi. Admiral Shekhawat has come from South Bombay. Admiral Pandit has driven all the way from Pune. I'm sure a lot of people have flown from all over the place, and I'm sure had they been in New York or Moscow, wherever, they still would have come, because this occasion is important to us. You are very important to us, and certainly Admiral Ramdas is very, very important. So I request all of you to please join me in giving them a nice round of applause, so that Admiral Ramdas, he knows that he's thought of very, very fondly today, and the Ramdas family knows that we hold them in the highest esteem and admiration for what they are, what they've stood for, what they've done, and what they continue to be. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very deeply honored and humbled to be here, and I'm very, very grateful for the
Admiral Swaminathan, that you were the last person to close this event, and I think it's been something all of the people here have been so representative of. It isn't easy, and I am this daughter who created the most trouble for my dad in some ways, right at the moment when he was, as you are now, at a senior post in his career in the Navy. And actually you mentioned Admiral Pandit and his wife, and I just want to say that they also took care of me. Interestingly, across the border, I was able to go and visit them when Admiral Pandit was naval attaché, when I was in Islamabad visiting my family. So it's a really special moment, and we appreciate your presence here very, very much. And we hope that our wonderful eclecticism of collection of people, there's not always people who feel very comfortable with that, and we're really grateful for the many people in the Navy who've had the courage to stand with us regardless of our many and diverse communities. This is a closing vote of thanks. There is going to be singing and music after that, and food, I promise. I'm so grateful. We are all so grateful for you joining us. We want to thank many people without whom this event would not be possible. First, I'm sure you'll join me in making a special round of applause for our amazing mother, Lalita Ramdas. She's very hard to keep on any kind of track or schedule, as my fellow flag lieutenant looking over there is, mindful of. But without her, many of the things that have come to be, even that lovely pond as you entered, my father used to always refer to it as Loly's folly, because we all were like, why are you going to make a pond with lilies? There'll be so many mosquitoes, it'll be such a mess. And she was like, no, I want to have a pond with lilies, and now we have a pond with lilies. So, I also want to thank my amazing sister Sagari Ramdas and her partner Suthan, who managed to effortlessly make everything work smoothly and beautifully, and who have been the constant support of my parents. Both I and my sister Malika live very far away, and have lived very far away for close to 40 years, and over 40 years in my case, and very close to that in my sister Malika's case. And although Malika and Kal are now coming home to India soon, without Sagari and Madhu, who have taken care of my parents, and before that my grandmother, there would not have been any of the things that are possible through all these years without their loving presence. So thank you both so much. A big thanks to the staff team at Lara and Ramu Farm. You heard my mother mention some of the names. Yashwantji, Kranti, Kamini, and Bharati Mahatre, who have tended the grounds and to our family for many decades now. And as Ma already said, we honor Rajendra Mahatre and appreciate the fact that his son Sanket is with us today, and Nidhi. We want to thank all the speakers who spoke today. We're really appreciative. Anand, thank you so much for sharing that lovely clip. I've been to Peshawar 3 times in my life, and it was lovely to see images of that again. We want to thank Sanjay Kavle, whose car service company has been totally taken over by our guests,
and we appreciate how much it made a difference. A huge thanks to the entire team of Himanshu Vaswani and the 4x4 company, including Sahiba, who was loaned to them. Woo! Thanks for everything. We've never had an event, as you heard from my sister. She had a maximum of 50 people at her wedding. I had 15 in Chicago. So this whole stuff, this is not very Ramdas family for us. So without them, we could never have done it. It's so professionally organized. A special thanks to Avantika and Mitesh, who I don't think got any sleep at all last night, and we are so grateful for them. And to the sound team, thank you all so much. You've been amazing. And all the people who worked all night long to make this happen. Thanks to Global Productions for audio support, Vinayak Vision for the video wall and support, and Ankush and Pranay for shooting wonderful content. We couldn't do it without you. We also want to thank our brother-in-law Ranjan Dey for the movie commemorating our father's 90th birthday, and Deepu Mayani for the photos and video of the same. Big thanks to my long-term friend and band comrade KJ Singh and his son Teji, and also to all of the singers. You're going to hear us in a second. Our meal has been prepared today by Sanman and by Mansi Gharpure of Alibagh. Huge thanks to them. Thanks to the local decorations team who made this space so beautiful and calm, Swapnil Gade and Sanjay. And again to the Navy Foundation, to Commander Vijay Vadera and his team for their support. We appreciate you standing with us, and we couldn't have done this without you. So thank you so much. Thank you to our Superintendent of Police, Anchal Dalal, for a bunch of very feminist women. It's rather nice to have our SP be a woman. And her team from the Poynad and Alibagh police station, and also to our local district collector, Krishna Narayan Rao Zavale, who, which I'm not pronouncing correctly, sorry, my Marathi is not good enough, Zavale. Mansi tried to teach me many times last night. But everybody here, without you, we could not do this. And now we're going to sing, and for any of you who need to get up and stretch your legs or whatever, please feel free to do that, but you will hear us standing up here and singing. I'm really sure that my dad is having a great time, and he is probably having a beer up there wherever he is. So, thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'd like to restrooms at the back. Okay. Min Min, Simple, Suri Chalam, and then we have Madhu, Min Min, and Kavita, and myself, Sagari. ना जाने किधर आज मेरी नाव चली रे मोरी नाव चली रे ना जाने किधर ना जाने किधर आज मोरी नाव चली रे मोरी नाव चली रे कोई कहे यहाँ चली कोई कहे वहाँ चली कि कहे यहाँ चली कोई कहे यहाँ चली मन ने कहा पिया के गाँव चली रे पिया के गाँव चली रे मोरी नाव चली रे ना जाने किधर होय होय ना जाने किधर आज मोरी नाव चली रे मोरी नाव चली रे मोरी नाव चली रे
Class queens.
How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? And how many seas must the white dove say before he can sleep in the sand? And how many times must lost cannonballs fly before they forever land? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. There's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only the sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा, एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा, जैसे खिलता गुलाब, जैसे शायर का ख्वाब, जैसे उजली हिरन, जैसे बन में हिरन, जैसे चांदनी रात, जैसे नरमी की बात, जैसे मंदिर में हो एक जलता दिया। एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा। Guantanamera, Bahira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Bahira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Bahira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Bahira Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crecen las palmas. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crecen las palmas. Y ante morir yo quiero cantar mis versos de alma. Guantanamera, Bahira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Bahira Guantanamera. You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by. So become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye, and teach your children well. Their father's head will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the ones in pics, the ones you know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. Just look at them and sigh. I know they love you. I know they love you. I know they love you. I've laughed and cried. I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my
And that was the song, those are the songs our father really loved. And of course, My Way was his way.
Yeah. Thank you all and enjoy lunch, and we'll be singing, through the evening.
Thank you, KJ. Thank you, KJ.
Thank you, KJ. Thank you, Teji. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Harp.
Sorry.
Admiral means did it really hit the full impact of who he was and what he's done. And there was a quote that I read a long time ago that makes me think of him every time I see it, because the quote is, the sea does not reject rivers and flood waters, so it becomes green. I think Ramu was a man who lived by the sea, and by the end of his life, he was the ocean. He accepted everybody, he let everybody in. I think that's what made him so great. Whether it's the people in Bhaimala, whether it's the people in the Navy. He's an incredible example, and I am very grateful that I got to grow up with him as a second child. So this is for him and anybody who's.
That was
When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your plate, I could offer you one to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there's no one there to dry your tears, and I would hold you for a year to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. There's no doubt in my mind. mind where you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black, blue. And I'd go crawling down the avenue. Go to the end of the earth for you. To make you feel my love. To make you feel my love. Love to the Ramdas family and everybody please get some